Sometimes you need to give yourself a chance. And after Friday night, with the Florida Panthers defeating the Boston Bruins at home at FLA Live Arena, they will be participating in something the two greatest words in pro sports. Game 7.
You're Locked On Panthers, your daily podcast on the Florida Panthers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into Saturday, April 29th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. I'm Armando Velez, and you can follow me on Twitter at MondoMan12. Follow the show account on Twitter at LO_FLA Panthers. Don't forget to also follow the page on Instagram as well at LO_FLA Panthers. And shout out to the everydayers for the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast who come here to get your daily Florida Panthers fix. Appreciate each and every one of you who come here. And what a game Friday night for the Panthers. And going into game 6, of course, after that thrilling game 5 win for the Panthers, there was that opportunity for the Panthers to let up, especially after how they played down the stretch in both games 3 and 4. Game 3 wasn't even close. You get 2 garbage times goals after you being down 4-0, and then it being 3-2 in game 4, and then the Bruins breaking it open for them to take a 3-1 lead. The Florida Panthers go into Boston, get a thrilling overtime win thanks to Mattew Tkachuk, and then this game right here, the Florida Panthers taking the lead, Boston tying it, taking the lead again, Boston taking the lead, tying it, you name it, Boston taking the lead again on a shorthanded chance, and then the Florida Panthers digging deep, going into the key was, once again, scoring first, and going into the next period as well with a lead. That was the key for the Florida Panthers as well, because they went into the first intermission with a lead. They went into the second intermission with a lead as well, and that gives when a team is going into a locker room with a lead, feeling good about themselves, and you get that confidence in you that you have the opportunity to finish the job. And this game opened up pretty early with Brandon Montour scoring on the power play 4-on-3. Of course, it was physical early with Sam Bennett going after Linus Ullmark as he was trying to freeze the puck, and it being 4-on-4, and then the Florida Panthers go 4-on-3 as well. Tyler Bertuzzi gets a goal. Brad Marchand with a great pass that Forsling blocked, and then it ended up being in the skate of Tyler Bertuzzi. And Brad Marchand had 4 points on the night, 4 assists. And it's funny. I'm gonna age myself a little bit here on the show. There's an old Nickelodeon show called The Ugly Martians, and their way of turning into, I guess, their version of Zords, using a Power Rangers reference, they had an acronym called BKM. Brad Marchand does not have a middle name. I looked it up already. He does not have a middle name. But let's pretend that his middle name is Christopher with a K. And he's unleashed all series against the Florida Panthers with 4 points. So in this whole series for Brad Marchand, he was the Ugly Martian against the Florida Panthers in this series. So a little bit of aging myself here on the show. But the Florida Panthers, and in this one, I mean, even when the Florida Panthers had an early lead, they were consistently pressuring the Boston Bruins on the forecheck. The Bruins were extremely overwhelmed by the Panthers, that they were just overthinking on passes, and even on the 2-1 goal that the Florida Panthers took, where Tkachuk finishes on the 2-on-1, and Nick Cousins get that goal. Connor Clifton if you're a Boston Bruins fan, you're thinking, where the hell was he passing that puck? And then goes to the middle of the ice. Nick Cousins takes it, and then instead of going backhand to Tkachuk, scoring, going for the pads of Linus Ullmark, and then Tkachuk finishing it there, and Pasta with the opportunity walked all over Mark Stahl, and then Sergei Bobrovsky being there to make the save. I mean, again, going into the next period with a lead, that huge for this Florida Panthers team, and coming out in the second period, big shift by that Tkachuk line, getting 2 redirection opportunities, and you can only contain David Pastrnak for so long. I mean, he whiffed on so many opportunities in this whole series, and then on that power play, getting the between the legs and taking it top shelf, as Randy Moeller says, where Mrs. Moeller hides the peanut butter. And also part of what changed this game, I mean, the Boston Bruins had an opportunity to go up 3-2, and just the ability of the video coach to catch what they caught with Jake DeBrusk having a finger on the puck. I didn't really see it clearly, even on the video board. I was actually there in person at Game 6. And the video coach, credit to Miles Fee and John Congemi, which is that John Congemi related to the media member, John Congemi of the Miami Dolphins, because South Florida, one's in the media for Dolphins, and then the other is an assistant coach, a video coach for the Florida Panthers on the hockey side of things. But to catch that and quickly, because listen, if you were to put me as a video coach, chances are I would be fired after day one. But for Miles Fee and John Congemi to catch that, and for because if you lose that challenge, you're going, not only do you lose you don't get another challenge the rest of the game, and you're going on the penalty kill as well. So credit to the video coach there. And also the Florida Panthers going up 3-2, where Forsling chips it up to Carter Verhaeghe, bouncing puck, and Orlov missing a poke where Anthony Duclair just throws it on net, and then Aleksander Barkov finishes. And welcome to the Stanley Cup playoffs, Sasha Barkov. No goals in the first 5 games, and then he finally gets on the board. And then, just like Sasha Barkov, we're so excited, and we just can't hide it. And Sasha Barkov against the Patrice Bergeron line. I know face-off percentage says 44% for the Florida Panthers, but Patrice Bergeron on that line, Corsi for percentage was 4-6 when he was with Marchand and Jake DeBrusk, and then with Tyler Bertuzzi and Brad Marchand, he had a negative Corsi for percentage as well. So the Florida Panthers were able to keep Patrice Bergeron in check on Friday night as well. Going into the third period, the Florida Panthers had more numbers in their own zone, and Barkov tried to back check. Verhaeghe just couldn't clear the zone, and then Bertuzzi from the circle beats Sergei Bobrovsky far side. And even then, the Boston Bruins take the lead as well, going down low, and then with after that, the save of the game. This was when I was saying, remember that save. Florida Panthers were down 4-3. The Boston Bruins, David Pastrnak got past the Panthers defense. I think it was Mark Stahl that he skated by. And then Sergei Bobrovsky makes a huge save on David Pastrnak on a breakaway. I said, remember that. And Sergei Bobrovsky coming up huge the rest of the way. I mean, the Boston Bruins came out firing in that third period, getting 2 goals in just a few minutes. I mean, Zach Dalpe getting on the board. My goodness. The Panthers, quick puck retrieval. Etsi Luostarinen from behind the trapezoid gets it to Zach Dalpe. And yeah, Zach Dalpe's the captain for the Charlotte Checkers. They lost last night. They're down 0-1 against the Hershey Bears. But Zach Dalpe, an unlikely goal scorer for the Panthers on Friday night to make it 4-4 as well. And listen, I'm going to give you, if you're watching this on the YouTube, I'm going to give you my reaction of how I reacted when Jake DeBrusk scored that shorthanded goal. And listen, Brandon Montour, yeah, he loses the race going to the end boards, but Sasha Barkov needs to stay back. That kind of gave me PTSD of Game 2 against the Tampa Bay Lightning, where Kucherov got it to Ross Colton for the game winner. And you know what? I'm gonna this was literally my reaction when Pavel Zacha got it to Jake DeBrusk to make it 5-4 at the time. I was literally like this in my chair. That was literally me, because I thought that was the backbreaking moment for the Panthers, because they were getting so many opportunities. They were overwhelming Boston. They knew the Panthers were confident that they could get to Linus Ullmark. They were clogging up all the passing lanes. And for that to happen, and you think with a team as great as the Boston Bruins, you had to play that perfect game. And it wasn't a perfect game for the Panthers. That's the thing. And they still found a way to win. And you're like, I'm thinking, this is it. The Panthers are going to find a way to lose, even though they got 2 power play goals on the night. And Mattew Tkachuk, just 27 seconds later, multiple hacks at Linus Ullmark to get on the power play, and then the turnovers just continue. I mean, the Panthers were led 10-2 in takeaways on the night, and a bad takeaway by the Boston Bruins. Brandon Montour keeps in the zone, gets it to Eetu Luostarinen. What a trade! Thanks, Dale Talon. Thank you, Dale Talon, for that trade. You're in your final trade deadline, and then beating Linus Ullmark short side on the blocker above his shoulder. So Panthers, they've gotten to Linus Ullmark. They've found a way to consistently create opportunities on broken plays, and this team, they once again don't die. They once again are a team that plays under pressure very well. And what more can you ask? That the Florida Panthers are taking this now officially to a Game 7 on Sunday night. In segment number 2, we are going to discuss more about what was said after the game, the belief in the room, and do the Boston Bruins make a goalie change ahead of Game 7? We are going to discuss that next here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. But first, we're going to tell you all about eBay Motors. And for a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right first time around. Just add your ride to my garage and look for the green check mark to know your part will fit or your money back. Just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop at eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Segment number 2 here on this Saturday, April 29th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, where the Florida Panthers are coming off a 7-5 regulation win against the Boston Bruins, where there will now be a Game 7 at TD Garden. And let's go back to Matthew Tkachuk. Remember this room after Game 5, saying we will be back here for Game 7. And after Game 6, handing it to the captain once again, to Sergei Barkov. And for all you that have those takes of, oh, let's strip the C from Matthew Tkachuk and from Sergei Barkov and give it to Matthew Tkachuk. Honestly, lazy take. Lazy. And the fact that the belief in the room, and let's talk about Anton Lundell, 2 assists on the night, 67% in the faceoff dot as well. The best line of the night, too. Corsi 4 percentage, 15-7 at 5-on-5 as well. Great night for that Lundell, Reinhart, Luostarinen line as well. And for the Panthers as well, Nick Cousins, great once again. Sergei Barkov, now that monkey is off his back when it comes to scoring. And think about this. The Panthers' goal differential in the series. Do you know what it's at? It's at -2. 5-on-5, though, they're outscoring the Boston Bruins 17-13 at 5-on-5 in the series. So the Boston Bruins have 9 non-5-on-5 goals. That's shorthanded goals, power play goals, empty net goals. You add all of them. So 9 in that variety. Outside of that, while the Panthers only have 5. Hey, 3 straight games with a power play goal too. And 2 on the night as well. Brandon Montour on one, Tkachuk on the other. And the fact that David Krejci was back in the lineup and his line was actually the best line on the ice for the Boston Bruins as well, creating so many chances with him, Pastrnak, and Pavel Zacha as well. Also, no Ryan Lomberg for the Cats. Ryan Lomberg won't be playing in Game 7 neither. And here's the thing that the Panthers might benefit from Lomberg out of the lineup. PIM differential. Penalties and minutes. That's the acronym for those who don't know. Ryan Lomberg was 5th worst on the Panthers in the regular season. Prior to Game 6, Ryan Lomberg's PIM differential was the worst on the team. As much as we love his grit, his tenacity, he's prone to taking those dumb penalties. Yeah, the Florida Panthers went to the box quite a few times. The Boston Bruins got 3 power play goals, 1 shorthanded goal on the night. They only had 1 even strength goal on the night. Amazing what this Florida Panthers team can do 5-on-5 when you stay out of the damn box. But Panthers still found a way with that four goal third period. And listen, this could have also had a chance to be a freaking disaster with Sam Bennett missing on the empty net opportunity. But the geometry that Sam Reinhart had to bounce it off the boards and into the net, I was just waiting and waiting. Is that going to go in? Is that going to go in? Clincher. And FLA Live Arena, that was the most hyped. That was the most hyped that I've seen that building in the years that I've gone there. My first in-person game was in 2016. It was a Roberto Luongo versus Ben Bishop start. They put up 4 in the second period, and then Andrei Vasilevsky, who was not the number 1 goalie for the Tampa Bay Lightning at the time, comes in the third. And that was the loudest I've heard that building. And I was there for Game 5 last year against the Capitals, where they came back from 3-0 as well. And what's at stake as well for this Panthers team against the Bruins with. And listen, the 2016 Golden State Warriors blew a 3-1 lead against the Cavaliers, against LeBron James. This Boston Bruins team was up 3-1, and now we're heading to a Game 7. Now forget about the first 6 games. Forget about it now. The Panthers are in this position to just have 1 game ahead right there. And also, one thing to mention, Brady Tkachuk was at the arena last night. He was in a suite. He was not sitting with the fans, and he was talking about how he's not going to be going to Mattew Tkachuk's playoff games. But I honestly, I would not pick on Brady Tkachuk if he were sitting in the stands. I'd honestly say hello and say, hey, great to have you down here. Welcome to this region as far as the atmosphere, because the atmosphere for South Florida hockey was on full display last night. And credit to the Panthers, credit to the fans and all. So the question now is, for the Boston Bruins, do you go back to Linus Ullmark in Game 7? I say yes if you're the Boston Bruins. Because this is the guy that got you there. This is the guy who is going to be the Vezina Trophy winner. He will win the Vezina this year. And the Panthers, they'd be licking their chops if they were to see that Jeremy Swayman was in the crease instead of Linus Ullmark. So if you're Jim Montgomery, that is why you don't do it. That is why you go back to Linus Ullmark for game 7 in Boston. As poorly as he's played in the last few games, I mean, damn. The Florida Panthers put how many goals in the last 2 games? Crazy to think that 11 goals in the last 4 games. Excuse me, 2 games. And when you are connecting on passes, on your stretch passes, breakaway, catching them in changes, and having them pinned as well, you give yourself a chance. And listen, even before the game winner, I was saying, well, I believe that was when the Panthers tied it at 5. I was saying, regardless of what happens, I can't wait to not watch this special teams unit for the Panthers anymore because this is abysmal. It's truly hard to watch that aspect of this, and this is where you kind of see that the Florida Panthers are in fact an 8th seed. This is that's the telling part when you look at that. But you know what? Do any of you guys care right now? Honestly, at this moment in time, I find I have a hard time caring at the moment. I might change my mind once Game 7 happens, and if all hell breaks loose, that a big if. But Florida Panthers are doing this regardless of those circumstances. Tkachuk's carrying the way. Bob, yeah, you see 9 goals in the last 2. It's not a goalie. This is a goalie's nightmare when it comes to giving up this many goals, but it's once again about the timely saves. It's about the timely face-offs as well, because honestly, face-off percentages in the end all be all neither as well. I mean, Patrice Bergeron, let's look at him. I think he won 60% of his face-offs. 68. And outside of that, Patrice Bergeron did nothing for the Bruins. They were held in check. And big credit goes to the top line for the Panthers. There's a whole bunch of line juggles that Jim Montgomery had. The Panthers kept their 4 lines throughout the night. And this is the time of year where you have to manage the minutes a little bit, especially putting more emphasis on the top 9 as well. And the Panthers, they found a way. They found a way in this one, and couldn't be any happier to now see that all the doubts of not making the postseason, making it by a single point, and you're taking the best team in NHL history to a Game 7. This is fun. This is a lot of fun, ladies and gentlemen. But in segment number 3, we're going to discuss more about the Panthers' time that Game 7 will start. We'll talk more about what to expect and maybe even make a prediction for the game. We're going to discuss that next here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast.
You're Locked On Panthers, your daily podcast on the Florida Panthers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Third and final segment here on this Saturday, April 29th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. And Game 7, Sunday night, 6:30 TNT. And if you're a sports fan, period, you are likely going to be in heaven on Sunday. The Miami Heat play at 1. There's another there's a Game 7 in the NBA, I believe, at 3:30. I believe Golden State Warriors, Sacramento Kings. Panthers play at 6:30. Avs Kraken at 9:30. Oh, it's such a great day for sports. And the Panthers, 2 South Florida teams are going to be a big part of it, and taking center stage here. And my goodness, Florida Panthers, they've already won twice in Boston. Yeah, we talk about the whole momentum not going from game to game. A lot of people don't believe that it can translate. But the Panthers, they continue this pattern of, are they dead yet? Nope, they're not. A 3-game losing streak doesn't turn into 4. Sometimes a 2-game losing streak doesn't turn into 3. Yeah, and it took a long time for them to win 3 in a row. It took them till early February to get their first 3-game winning streak. Needed a late surge, and here they are with an opportunity. And that's all you can ask for. An opportunity for this team. And we're all so hyped. I was hyped. If you happen to not have any social media, I mean, good for you if you guys don't, honestly. Because recorded a video after the game about breaking a short 1-minute video talking about my thoughts on the game, the flow of it, and super hyped. I put my best Billy Mays impersonation on display and throwing the rat on the ice. And of course, since then, over 12 hours since then, and having a little bit of time to come down to earth a little bit. And of course, the Panthers have a practice today. They're going to be flying around a little bit after noon today to Boston, to TD Garden. And the Boston Bruins weren't expecting to be playing at home. The arena change crew in TD Garden wasn't expecting to have a game neither. They were probably expecting to be changing the ice to basketball as the Celtics advance as well. And no, Florida Panthers denied all of that. And the leaders are stepping up when needed. And I know I'm dragging on a little bit about getting to my prediction on Game 7, but I was wrong originally when I did my crossover with Ian McLaren of Locked On Boston Bruins. I said Bruins in 6. And going into FLA Live Arena and actually paying money for a ticket. And if I saw Boston, if all of us saw Boston come to FLA Live Arena and get a win, obviously our souls would have been crushed. But the feel good that we got out of that, despite special teams once again being abysmal, and knowing that you've beaten them 5 times regular season and post, I'm going to say the Florida Panthers will get another one. They will go into Boston. They will win a 7th game. And you know what? If they don't, y'all can old takes expose me. I really don't care. Do it. And the Boston Bruins look shook right now. And having to regroup, scramble, and of course, we could be back here Monday talking about how great teams like the Boston Bruins can find a way even through adversity. But regardless of even if the Boston Bruins win this one, it's to win a championship. You need a short series, at least one during your run. Even if the Boston Bruins end up winning, the Panthers putting up a fight against them could really affect them going into the next series. But you know what? We are hopeful and we are confident, at least I am, that Florida can go in there because they have done it. And the streak that they have right now with their power play and timely goaltending, anything can happen on Sunday night in TD Garden. Once again, it's a 6:30 puck drop on Sunday night, Bally Sports Florida, TNT, and we are going to have a post-game show on Sunday night because I'll definitely be at home this time immediately to record after versus being at the arena and then traveling and then having to watch the game again on video to get a better perspective on the game that I saw in person. So we will be bringing to you a more immediate post-game reaction, win or lose, on Sunday. So everydayers, make sure you come back, especially because this playoffs for the Panthers, it's a special one. And the Panthers, they're playing with house money right now. And anything after Game 7, especially with a win, it's all just gravy at this point now. So thank you guys as always for listening. Thank you guys for participating in the comments as well, even the not so nice ones as well. But thank you guys as always for jumping on and listening to the show as always. So in the meantime, if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to the podcast to be notified every single time the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast jumps into your podcast feed. Make sure to subscribe to the other shows on the Locked On AHL network, including Locked On AHL, Locked On Fantasy Hockey, Flip Livingstone, and Steel Roden, and Locked On NHL Prospects. Thank you for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. So I'm Armando Velez, signing off. And you've been listening to Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day.